Ready, Mark?
Yeah.
All right, let's call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Malumbi.
Here.
Gurza.
Here.
Osterloo.
Here.
Genslinger.
Here.
Sonny.
Here.
Penny. Penny is absent. He will call in a little later in the meeting. We'll just have to make a note in the minutes for that. Gosher.
Here.
Larson.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay. Declaration of conflicts of interest.
For me, 17 and 18.
Okay.
For me, 11 and 18.
Okay. Any others? Hearing none, let's go on to the agenda. The agenda has been provided to us. Are there any additions or corrections to it at this point? If not, we are in order for a motion to approve as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded that the agenda be approved as presented. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Okay, the minutes of the August 23rd meeting were also provided in the packet of information to us. Anybody got any additions or corrections to make to that meeting of the 23rd? Hearing none, we are in order for a motion.
Move to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded that the minutes of the August 23rd meeting be approved as presented. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, so motion carries. We also had approval of the minutes of a special meeting held on the 26th of August. Any additions or corrections to that?
I have noticed being present, but I was not there.
Okay.
I have you on there twice. I'll make that correction.
The correction is noted. Any others? If not, we are inclined for a motion as amended.
Vote to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded that the minutes be approved as amended. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next meeting, blanket for the next meeting should be the September 27th. Do I hear a motion for the blanket?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded that the blanket for August 26th be approved. That's not right. September 27th, I'm sorry. I'm on the wrong line. Be approved. Discussion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries. All right, Mr. Boyd Raymond at 719 South Evans has applied for a front yard variance of 7 feet versus 20 feet as required for an attached garage. The application was tabled on the July 26th meeting. Mr. Raymond has changed his application to a front yard variance of 19 feet versus 25 feet for a front entry addition, legally described as lots 5 and 6, lot 9 of Van Epps addition, City of Mitchell, Davidson County, South Dakota. If I remember right, Mr. Raymond's big problem was water running back in the basement through that whole issue. Boyd's obviously come up with a new plan. Mark, talk to us.
Yep, since you tabled it last time, he came up with a new plan just to do an addition. It leaves 19 feet in front for a vehicle still to be able to park there without blocking the sidewalk. He's going to put a couple steps up into that, so that will also help with water from going down into that area. Boyd?
Mr. Raymond's here, or anyone here
Nope.
to address that issue?
You had the two original letters that were against it, and this time there's one additional for and one against.
Okay. Anybody here to talk to us about that? hear no opposition or no one here to come to the podium and speak to us. So, what's your pleasure, gentlemen?
Wish we had a plan that showed what he was gonna do, I don't see anything in the packet.
I didn't either, but
How high? What's going on?
well, it's a duplex.
Well, I know, I understand, but is this a two-story addition or thing for it, the entry, or what's going on?
We really don't know.
Okay, that's all I question. Be nice to have a plan. Yeah, I'd say so.
Are we going to make a motion that we table it until he submits a plan and with elevations, et cetera? Is that what I hear the discussion here?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second
Moved and seconded that we table this until we see a plan with elevations, et cetera, as needed by the city folks. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. Let's go roll call, Mark, please.
Jurza,
Yes.
Osterloo,
Yes.
Genslinger,
Yes.
Sonny,
Yes.
Columbi,
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Motion carries. Table.
Motion carries. Table with the stipulations that we see more information. Item number 9, a variance request from Faith Missionary Church at 1025 26th Avenue. Has applied for a variance in the of the following. West side yard setback of 0 feet versus 3 foot on lot 3 and the east 33 feet of lot 4 in block 3 of Gleason's addition. Number 2, a east side yard setback 0 feet versus 3 feet on lot 4 except the east 33 feet of lot 5 in block 3 of Gleason's addition. A rear yard setback of 25 feet versus 20 feet, 20 feet versus 25 feet on both above parcels. All for the addition of a 38 by 57 foot crossing parcel line located on 1025 East 6th Street, legally described as lot 4, except the east 33 feet of lot 5. In block 3 of Gleason's addition, City of Mitchell, County, South Dakota, and lot 3 and the east 33 feet of lot 4 in block 3 of Gleason's addition, City of Mitchell, Davis County, South Dakota. The said real property is zone R4 high density residential district. Mark, talk to us a little bit.
If you recall, you tabled this at the last meeting because of the different owners on the parcels. We have the deed showing that they are now the same owner on both parcels. Parking was another concern that you'd had before with it. He is working with a contractor for the proposed parking. He could just give me this right before the meeting. The space, so clarification, here's your existing building. Proposed church addition is right here. Before, this was a through drive because the door's right here. So you've got more parking spaces on the back side that's added. This is where the original was. They have all this green space right here that they can use for parking now because it's still within their same entity for that. We got one more letter for and one more letter against. Oh, excuse me, we didn't receive any more letters. It was the one against, one for, and one that we resolved with Mitchell Telecom. They didn't have any drops going through there, so nothing new with this one. The applicant is here if you have any questions for him at all.
Okay, would the applicant like to talk to us?
Yes, thank you.
Please introduce yourself.
I'm Tim Stafford, pastor of the church, and what we are proposing with the 58-foot addition is a much scaled-down drawing, and I have that here in file. I should have given it to him. but originally it was to come over about, or roughly about 120 feet. So this is a much scaled down drawing. It's just to address our existing sanctuary, the needs of the Sunday school. There's not going to be any additional usage other than what is already being done on Sunday mornings and occasional extra services. The parking, as he's already mentioned, has not been substantially affected because it's a drive-through. And we are in the process, we're working with Dakota Pro Striping to maximize our current parking. So that would be our thoughts on that.
Entrance to your current parking, is that via the alley? Is that where that is?
We have 6th Avenue has, we have an entrance there. That's the main entrance. And there will still be, coming off the end, the west end of the addition, there'll still be all that green space that's available and the same multi-use agreement that we've had for the last 20 years with the Faith Home.
Okay. Any questions? All right, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to talk to us about this project? If not, we are ready to take a look at a motion.
Mark, you indicate that Mitchell Telecom is not going to be affected.
Mitchell Telecom won't be affected at all.
Is the zero setback still in effect now that they have the same order now, or is that kind of washed away? Am I not understanding that?
No, it's still being affected because it's two different parcel IDs with that instead of just as one big unit.
So we're talking about across those lot lines between those two parcels that they now own.
Yep.
And according to our code, we have to talk about it because they're separate parcels.
But same owner, right?
Yep.
Yeah, same one. And so all three of these are basically the only real addition that we have is the rear yard setback of 20 versus 25. Are we okay with 20 feet versus 25 for the parcel, for the property?
And it lines up with the backside of the existing building, it looks like, so. So many of our alleys have garages sitting right on the alley with zero setbacks, so I really don't have any idea. I would move to approve.
I'd second it.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve. I think we have clarified a lot of things by one owner of several parcels. I think that has helped us a considerable amount. Any other questions or discussion on this one? Hearing none, we are ready to vote. Let's go roll call again, please.
Jurza.
Yes.
Osterloop.
Yes.
Genslinger.
Yes?
Sonny.
Yes.
Malumbi.
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, next item, conditional use permit for Brooke Hartman at 217 East 4th Avenue. Brooke has applied for a conditional use permit to operate a family residential daycare at her home at 317 East 4th, legally described as Block 2, Block 27, original city of Mitchell, South Dakota, Davidson County. The said real property is zoned R2 single family residential. Mark, talk to us a little bit.
Published, neighbors were sent out letters. We've received 2 letters, in a 4 and 0 against. Brooke is here if you have any questions for her. Shannon has done the inspection and has passed the inspection for the daycare.
Okay, Brooke, would you like to talk to us?
My name is Brooke Hartman, and I'm looking at opening a daycare in my home. Kids will only be on the main floor. We do have 2 exits going out the back and out the front.
Okay. have you operated a daycare before?
No, I've only worked at a center.
Any questions for Bert? Brooke? All right. Further discussion?
This is in my backyard, and I don't have any issues with it.
Okay.
Well, if he doesn't have no issues with it, I'll approve it.
Okay. Okay. Second over here. Okay, now, we do have some caveats.
Oh, yeah, with the 3. Well, they already did 1, so
Yeah.
it's the 2.
Two.
So Mark will tell you about the caveat.
Permit is non-transferable, and second is if the business ceases to operate for 6 months, then a new application will be required.
Okay.
And the fire inspection.
But she's already passed that.
Yeah. So
Okay.
you're good to go there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion here among the council? Doesn't sound too controversial, so let's go voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Both same sign. Carried. Variance, Stacy Nenegat, 204 West 11, has applied for a rear yard variance of 0 feet or 0 feet as required for the construction of garage additions at 204 West 11th, legally described as Lot 11, Block 29, Capital Edition, City of Mitchell, South Dakota. The said real property is owned R2 single family. You got a picture.
So if you see the overhead GIS view of it, lot lines the green lines are off. That's not exactly where it's at, because otherwise it looked like he was built across parcel lines, which he isn't. The red box there is where the addition would be put on to the existing garage. Yellow, again, is just a different view of that. These are his photos for where he would like to put it. It's a little dark for you. He'd be putting the addition on the north side with the garage door facing west, so it wouldn't be accessing off of the alley. That's where it goes to the 0 instead of the 16-foot, which would be required by ordinance. There were 2 responses for, and I just received the 3rd one while I was sitting here. No neighbors objected to this. A couple of years ago, the board approved one across the street in a different alley for a 0, and it was Stacy was doing the work on that as well.
Basically, you come in from one direction into that garage, and it's a 50-foot lot, isn't it?
Yep.
If I could, I'm Stacy.
Okay?
Where you see the addition, the property directly to the west or to the left, we own that property. That's our primary residence. This is a rental property. It would not be used only for storage, not for vehicle entry. There is an easement right now between those 2 properties. And after measuring things out, I would end up with about a 1-foot 4-inch setback still in effect after this was built. I would do a 12-foot addition to the north, which would leave me 1-foot 4 setback. So,
Have the property pins been spotted?
yeah, I know where all my pins are. Yeah.
Further discussion or questions?
The only comment from Public Works would be is that decreasing room in the alley to work is not ideal for us because of the equipment that we have such as motor graders and those types of things when we do maintain alleys or have the request to push snow. Just the less work, it makes it harder on our guys to get that work completed.
And I don't disagree with that. Currently, right now, all of the snow in that alley is moved by me.
Plus to the east, the other guy's right on the lot line.
That's Glenn Mogg. He owns that property. You guys are probably familiar with him.
Okay, folks, what's your pleasure?
Well, if he said that he's not going to build up to it, but I guess the variance calls for 0 setback. I guess. I'd like to see it a little bit back. That would give them room. But again, the guy to the east is right along the damn lot line anyhow. So
Do I hear a motion?
is the pitch of the roof going to be the same as your garage?
Yeah, it'll
So
match
there'll be
the
no gutters.
existing structure, exactly. It'll just look like it's
Okay.
longer when it's all said and done.
Because I was saying if you had gutters on there, you can't. Okay.
No, that existing garage actually doesn't have any overhang on any of the four sides. If it'll do anything for the city, it'll block my neighbor's backyard a little bit.
Well, I talked to the neighbor that's across the alley there, and he said he didn't care either way. So I'll make a motion to approve it.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second, that the project be approved. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. Let's go voice vote again, please. Roll call.
Genslinger,
Abstain.
Sonny,
Yes.
Osterloo,
Yes.
Gurza,
Yes.
Malumbi,
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, next item, item 12. Variance, George Morgan at 414 North Davidson has applied for a side yard variance of 0 feet instead of 3 feet required for enclosing an existing non-conforming carport at 414 North Davidson Street, legally described as Lot 6A, and the west half of Lot 5A, Lot 30, Julian Jersey's addition, City of Metro. Said real property is zoned R2. Okay, we have some pictures.
Yes, if you look at your GIS view of it, 414, you can see that the carport goes across the property to the north. On page 41 has some pictures of the actual carport. 42 is, and 43 of your package, 44 is actually an easement that they have with the neighbor to the north for the footage that it goes across the property line. With the non-conforming, they want to enclose the carport to put a garage on there so they can sell the property with a garage attached. Public Works has discussed that if this were approved, that the building permit, we would ask that a condition be put on that a building permit be signed by both the neighbor and the applicant. We received one response in favor, none against, and then we had someone come in this morning to discuss it, and they didn't have any issue after discussing it with them. George is here if you have any questions for him.
Anybody got any comments from the audience on this issue? Hearing none, we are ready for a motion, folks, unless you have some questions to ask.
Well, these are properties that are for sale, is that correct? Both of them, even the one with the easements, and so the future buyers will be,
Yes.
they'll have no say once this goes through, then they'll know that this easement's there.
It would go with their title work.
What's your pleasure, folks?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second. Moved and seconded that the motion be approved.
Except
That the
with the
request be
condition,
approved.
Right,
with the condition both have, the neighbor and the applicant have to.
that's correct,
Yes.
Is there discussion on that motion?
Yeah, I just have one. Was there another thing for somebody to work on there? That person has an easement to get on this land to do some maintenance and all that kind of stuff? Is that, let me look at that.
Included.
Was it included in this?
I'd like to note also that the original carport, we went back and looked, it was built around sometime in 1980, is when that was put on.
Because I know we did something like this a few blocks away from there, that we had an easement with them, with the people that own it, to work on their
Work on the property.
shed, yes.
Looks like it's for ingress and egress and for permitting access for necessary repairs and maintenance of the fence.
So it doesn't give us a footage or anything, it's just so they can go out 10, 20 feet to do any kind of work they want.
It only says the 6 3/4 feet. front yard, so.
Well, if that doesn't,
I think that's more of a civil matter between the two owners, right?
I would think
We're
so.
looking at zoning and planning, so.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is that correct? And we are ready to vote. Because I hear no further discussion. Let's go roll call again, please.
Sonny,
Yes.
Genslinger,
Yes.
Osterloo,
Yes.
Gurza,
Yes.
Malumbi,
Yes.
Larson.
No.
Motion carries.
All right, next item on the agenda is page here. There you go. I got it. Jack Earl, doing business as Oh My Carpet at 715 South Raleigh Street, is requesting the following property legally described as the east 71 feet of Lot 5 and Lot 6, Block 18 of Van Epps First Edition, in the southeast quarter of Section 21, P103 North, Range 60 west of the 5th parallel meridian, the city of Mitchell, Davidson County, South Dakota, from R3 medium residential district to highway-oriented business district, and that the official zoning map be changed to reflect the same for the purpose of moving his business to that location.
As you can see on page 49, highway business is directly to the south of them and also kitty corner across Rowley Street. The rest is all zone R3. Applicant would like to move his business there. We received one response for and one against. The one against was they didn't want it to be busier streets and crime to go up. I believe that was a new one that just came into you guys that I placed on your desk today. Jack is here if you have any questions for him at all.
Jack, you want to talk to us?
Yep.
I'm Jack Earl. My business is Oh My Carpet, and things have been good. So we need some storage space. Most of our sales are from people call us. We go out and talk to them. So there's not going to be a lot of activity there. That's the way we sell. And we sell any place from Sioux Falls to Rapid City. But there are times I have a client that's coming this week. They're building a new house. And so they're coming to our house, and we show them samples, and we give them estimates and so forth. But it'd be real nice to have a small studio there. So in case like this, maybe once or twice a week, at this point, we could bring them in, and we'd have all our samples there. That's what we want to do. So I don't understand anything about crime, what that opposition stated, so it's going to be a pretty low-key place.
Going to be like warehouse
Yeah,
area as well?
about 3/4 of it will be warehouse, and then there'll be a small studio, probably, I'm hoping for about a 20 by 40 foot room, 20 by 30, something like that. So we can display our stuff, and I can have a work table, so if they bring in their blueprints, I can open them up, and we can go through that, and yeah.
So obviously, going to be taking house
Pardon me?
You're going to take the house down that's
Yes,
in?
yes. Yep, it'll be nice and new.
Do you have the approximate size of the new building?
I'll have to talk to John and Mark, but it's as large as I can make it. And I'm hoping probably someplace from 32 to 36 by 60 with all the setbacks and the parking and everything. I see John sketching it out now, but that's kind of what I would like to have. I think that would be appropriate for me.
If this were to be approved, you'd have to come back in front of commission because it'd be highway business, so plan approval would have to be done at that time.
So that's when we're going to get the drainage and everything.
Yes.
Because I'm sure that would be a different topic here that's,
Yeah.
with that big of a building there, so.
Okay, and where did you say the existing highway business is?
Directly to the south, it would be UPS is across the street from.
Right behind UPS store.
Okay. Okay. Further discussion or questions?
Which neighbor was the one that didn't want it?
I think we have somebody that would like
Right
to
next
talk
door.
to us when Mr. Earl is done.
Oh,
Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
713
713?
South Raleigh, so it'd be to the north.
Okay.
I live right next to the lot, and, Marla Snock,
Okay, thank you.
and I don't want any business there because that's residential. We get enough traffic from UPS and M&H down that road, and there's kids, and I just don't feel, there's so many other properties that they could go out and pick and put a carpet place other than a residential area.
Okay, thank you.
And let me see. I want to keep it, we've had some crime there already, but I want to keep it a family neighborhood. Because we got dogs, there's kids across the street, you know, and everybody kind of visits everybody, and I want to be able to sit outside and not look at a business when I'm sitting outside.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Anyone else? Any questions from the commission? If not, what's your recommendation going to be to the council?
I'm not really in favor of highway business jumping for avenue. I'd like to keep it residential. I think if I lived there, I'd feel the same way as Mark.
I kind of feel the same way.
Yeah.
Okay, so
We've seen some encroachment to the east, and
Yeah.
makes me uncomfortable. This is just furthering that. I'd be against it.
So your motion is to not recommend?
Well, I don't know if I'm ready for a motion yet.
Okay.
I'd like to hear from the other members.
Well, that's kind of,
We had something like this come up before on another project on the west side of town, and it encroached into a residential area, and I wasn't for it then either. And I kind of agree with Kevin. I think the residential boundaries should try to stay residential. I think there's plenty enough land around that it could be placed somewhere else, you know. I don't know, that's just my personal thoughts on it.
well, that area is kind of a hit and miss with highway business and residential, you know, even a block or so away, we had the, you know.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, let's have a motion.
All right, so I guess that's up to me, isn't it? I'll make the motion to recommend to the city council that we deny the application.
I'll second that.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we recommend to the city council that we deny the application. Given that information, do I hear further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, I assume that you are ready to vote. Mark, let's go roll call, please.
This is for a motion to deny, so
Yep, for motion to deny.
Malumbi,
Yes.
Jurza,
Yes.
Osterloo,
No.
Kinslinger,
Yes.
Sonny,
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Motion passes to recommend denial.
All right, next item. A plat of Lot 3 of Murphy's addition, an addition in the south half of the southeast quarter of Section 11, T103 North, Range 60 West of the 5th parallel. Oh, come on.
Right.
Better. Principal Meridian, Davis County, South Dakota. Okay, the plat should show up on...
On page 54 of your, is the plat. This is outside the ETJ, but within the 3 mile of city zoning, so it has to go through both. County Planning Commission recommended approval of this last week. It'll go in front of County Commission next week. There's no variances that have to go with this at all. Lot 1 is actually who will be purchasing Lot 3. They were just buying more land from their family. Britt isn't here at all. County had no issues with it.
Okay. It's out in the territory, so...
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded that the plat be approved as presented. Discussion on the motion. City folks, you guys got any employees got any issues? I didn't see anybody say you do, so we are ready to vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. A plan approval, budget in at 1518 West Haven. Budget in is proposing to change their flat roof to a pitch roof due to damages from storm earlier this summer. The business is located at 1518 West Haven and is zoned in highway business zone.
You can see from the pictures in your packet on page 58, 59, and 60, they've had some storm damage and wear over the years, so they'd like to replace it. On page 59 shows they've done the north building already a while ago, so that's what they're proposing to do, is make it the same as that one, get rid of the flat roofs.
Correct the situation that was made, correct, yeah, the situation that was made when the building was built.
Maybe.
Maybe. Hopefully.
Maybe maintenance might have had something to do with it.
Yeah, well, could be. Any additions or corrections to that discussion? John, you talked to those guys already, have you?
Yep, they came in and talked to both Mark and I. I think they used Larry's services prior to this. You know, I told them they do that, and we'll see the load bearing trusses the trusses will be spec'd out. Well, I want that sheet, because it is pretty good span.
Yeah.
They did the other one, turned out fine. I assume they're gonna do about the same thing.
Okay. Anything else? City guys, you're okay so far? What you see? There'll be more because they'll have to have a building permit eventually. So, all right. Barring further discussion, we are ready for motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. I think we've got to go roll call on this one again too.
Kinslinger,
Yes.
Sonny,
Yes.
Osterloo,
Yes.
Jurza,
Yes.
Malumbi,
Yes.
Larson.
Yeah. I thought we had somebody wanted to recuse. Can't keep up with stuff. I'm gonna have to start writing myself notes. Number 16, a plat of Lot 2, Block 1 of Westward First Edition, a subdivision of the southwest border of Section 16, 10360, west of the 5th parallel meridian, City of Mission Basin County, South Dakota. Another plat. What's going on?
Another plat, it follows the master plan, pretty close to it. The master did have it actually angling along with this drainage ditch. I was told by the purchaser that they're going to actually be moving that drainage area to go more with the new proposed plat that's going there. McCheskey's are here if you have any questions for them at all.
Any comments or further addition information, Chuck?
I don't. We're pretty excited to have the Elf Strands and Floor to Ceiling expand their business. We've worked real hard for 15 years to put someone there, so it's a big step.
Smiling all the way to the bank, maybe?
What's that?
You're smiling all the way to the bank, you hope?
Not my bank.
Oh, okay.
I'm just the worker bee.
Okay.
But yeah, we're excited to put something up there finally after a long time, and excited for Floor to Ceiling.
Move to approve. Nope, I don't. I move to approve.
Second.
This,
Moved and seconded that we approve the plat.
I would ask that the contingent be included for an elevation certificate, which my understanding is it's coming, we just have not received it yet.
Okay.
Okay, put that on there.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the plat with the condition that the elevation certificates be included. Discussion? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. I think this one here we can go voice vote too, can't we? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Plan approval of 215 Marketplace at 215 Lawler Street. Little Price is proposing to remodel the interior of the old BPI building located at 215 North Lawler Street and is zoned central business. We have some pictures, if I remember right.
Yep, there's a couple pictures just showing the building. On page 68 and 69 shows the building. Page 70 starts showing the layout of the building for it. This is in the historic district, so if it were approved, I'd make it contingent that SHPO signs off on it as well. Larry can probably address more of this than I can.
Yeah, I started working with Linda on this. She was looking at a general plan of how to utilize the building. She talked about doing possibly a bar on the second floor, and basically retail space on the first floor, and the basement would be her office spaces and possibly some storage. And then as we went along and defined a few things, she is going to sprinkler the building, and then she decided she wanted to put an elevator in it. So we have to put a couple of new stairways in for the second floor for the basement egress. But the old BPI building was basically a B occupancy. This is kind of a mix. It's probably going to be a B, an A, and an M occupancy, so it's going to be kind of a mixed-use sort of a building, I think is what her intention is. But right now, she is focusing in on the first floor. She's got some tenants apparently lined up to put some businesses in on the first floor. I think some of it's going to be retail, and there's a little shop in there that they're going to have some minimal seating for a small restaurant. I'm not sure exactly what that restaurant is right now, but it's not going to have much seating, but they plan on doing some cooking. And I advised her that the plan that we are looking at right now is just basically for the concept, but any tenants that do any tenant build out, especially for any food service type stuff, would have to apply for a permit for their specific space. Because I told her, I said, the health department, I'm sure would be getting involved, and you'd have some issues about exhaust if you have any kind of cooking equipment. So I said that might be a little something that has to be looked at a little more careful. So anyway, that's generally the conversation. So the plan that we finally came up with after she talked to some tenants about the kind of space they wanted, this is basically the conceptual plan to plan on using the building for, like I said, a variety of occupancies. She doesn't have anything locked in for the second floor right now, but she has been talking to some people to put a bar up there with golf simulators. That's kind of what the conversation was. So anyway, that's about all I can tell you right now.
Okay. So concept plan.
Concept plan, yes.
We need to approve or disapprove. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, because technically I think we'd be reclassifying the occupancy type. Like I said, it was originally the B occupancy and BPI in there, so.
Do I hear a motion? Or more discussion? Either one.
I think it's good that someone's going to take another leap. So,
Yeah.
I
So-
vote to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the concept plan. Discussion on the motion. Okay, this one's going to have to be roll call.
Jerza,
Abstain.
Osterloo,
Yes.
Kinslinger,
Yes.
Sonny,
Yes.
Malumbi,
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Motion carried. Before you go on to 18, Jay, I need to call.
All right. Next item we're going to talk about is TIF number 26. We have several.
Hi, Don. Mark from City Mitchell.
Hey, how are you?
Good. We are just getting to yours on the agenda.
Okay, great. Great. Is Justin there as well?
Yep, I'm here, Don.
Okay. All right, just let me know when you, Justin, do you want to introduce or do you want me to introduce, or just let me know when you're ready to go?
Yeah, we'll get to you here in just a minute here, Don.
Okay, all right.
Joe, do you want to confirm that Brad's on the line there?
Hey, Brad, do you want to say hi?
Hey, everyone.
Thank you.
Can you hear us all right and everything? Just making sure.
Say, Mark, go back to that 3 conflict. I'll be saying.
So at 12:48, Brad joined the meeting.
Okay.
We
It's
have
on the
one.
floor.
Where's the fourth?
1, 2,
Brad.
3, 4, Brad.
All right, let's talk about the TIF. Don Peterson, right? On the phone?
Yes, it is. So, AJ,
Yes?
is Doug Malumbi there?
Yes, he is.
Every once in a while, I lean over and shake him to keep him awake during my presentation.
Hey, I have that trouble myself on this first part. We have all heard it several times, I'm sure. But
I know you have, and I appreciate you letting me appear over the telephone. And Justin Johnson drafted or helped draft a major part of this. So if we have any questions, we can ask him as well. And Jerry Beck from the Development Corporation is also there. She can answer any questions that you may have as well. So we're here to look at proposed tax increment district number 26 for the city of Mitchell. The Mitchell Area Development Corporation is acting as a developer in this project and is asking the city to create the tax increment financing district for a renovation of the western building at 3rd and Main, and also the possible development of of a parking lot, parking garage, and possibly a second commercial building on the lots immediately north of the western building. Okay, everyone has seen a copy of the TIF and the proposed project plan, and so I'm assuming that nobody wants me to read it word for word. Would that be correct?
I would assume so. We put it in the packet, and if we did our homework like we were supposed to, we fully understand what's going on.
Okay, so on page 6 of the project plan, there's a reference to the creation of City of Mitchell TIF number 26. We're representatives of MADC, that'd be Jerry Beck, myself, and John Adamo are parties interested in purchasing the western building and the lots located in north of the western building with an idea of taking a nuisance property, the western building, and remodeling that first floor into commercial, possibly a restaurant, but for sure commercial, and then floors 2 through 4 into single bedroom apartments. And then they're also looking at taking those abandoned lots to the north that used to have nuisance properties on them that have all been torn down, demolished, and turning those into parking for residents of the apartments and also customers of the retail establishment to park in. There's the thought of putting some garages on that property for the individuals in the apartments, and also then there's room for a second commercial building. Timing of the project, we hope that if the TIF is approved, the project will proceed. At this point, the city has removed some of the nuisance, the lead paint dust, and asbestos removal. I think is either totally completed or very close to being done. And with weather permitting, the developer plans on the remodel, to start the remodel and construction in the fall of 2021, with completion shortly to follow there in 2022. The property within the tax district, if you look at page 7, there's the map, everything in green. Justin Johnson did a great job of putting that together for us. So everything that's colored in green there would be the TIF. We've included parts of Main Street because there's a streetscapes project that Mitchell Main Street and Beyond is working on, and it's possible that we could connect into something there. So we wanted to include all that area within the boundaries of the TIF. Under South Dakota law on page 8, the law requires that a TIF, the tax increment districts cannot exceed 10% of the taxable value of the city. So we've shown that the taxable value for the city of Mitchell in 2020 is approximately $972 million. The base value of the property now that would be going into the TIF is $45,070, and then when the chart shows all the existing TIFs and their certified base values at this time with the state, and so that total amount is $18 million, which is less than 10%. The table on page 9 lists the amount of the TIF we're asking for. It would be we're asking for a TIF up to the amount of $1,200,000. We're asking that in the form of a grant, and then that allows and I'll let Justin talk about this a little bit, but that allows that and some other of the conditions of this project plan allow the TIF not to be included in the bonding capacity for the city of Mitchell, so that it does not eat into the city's bonding capacity.
Okay.
Okay. On page 10, we state that the grant amount, the $1.2 million, is to be used for those parts of the project that are TIF fund eligible, and that has a lot to do with the Western building and the remodel of that, and then also across the street with the parking garage or the parking lot garages and possible infrastructure on the new building. And those are all estimates, and ultimately it'll be the amount of the TIF will be based on what the county assessor actually assesses all the properties at when they're completed. Page 11 sets out some conditions of the developer agreement regarding constitutional debt, and the short answer to that is that Justin and I worked, and Stephanie Alwine worked very hard on trying to get this TIF to be eligible, not to count against the Mitchell taxes or bonding capacity. And we think that with the way the language is in there, that does allow that to happen. So those are basic why those are. Developer terms, MADC will act as a developer, and all TIF proceeds will flow to MADC. MADC would then be responsible to pass on the increment to the ultimate recipient of the funds. That would be John Adamo, John's wife. And MADC will enter into a separate development agreement with Mr. Adamo, which the city will also, I think, be a party to. And that will come as soon as the TIF has been approved, assuming the TIF is approved by the Planning Commission and the City Council. You'll note that we are kind of limiting Mr. Adamo's funds to a maximum of $600,000, and that's based on our conversations with him. The balance of those TIF funds would be utilized by the Development Corporation for other project costs. And of course, whether or not the TIF actually is funded up to $1.2 million depends a lot on how much of that development actually occurs. We know the Western building's going to occur. We know the parking lot's going to occur. We're pretty sure that the garages are going to occur. Whether or not a second retail building gets built, hopefully it will, but there's nothing in the works right now for that. Any questions on so far? Okay.
We're trusting that you guys know what you're doing.
Jay, you know better than that.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've had some very successful ones in the past, so.
We have.
So I'm pretty sure we'll be okay here.
Well, I tell you what, with Stephanie keeping me in line, we should be pretty good. Let's flip over to the schedules then. Starting on Schedule 1 and these are all the requirements under South Dakota law. So we're supposed to put together a detail of project costs. Again, this is being set up as a grant pass-through type TIF, and so we put the total of $1.2 million in that line. And then the specific items that they can be used for are all set forth on page 18. And those are all the types of things that TIF funds can be used for under the code, and we can't use them for anything other than what would be eligible to use. And Schedule 2, we have to have conducted an economic feasibility study. We've looked at that, and so we think. So we've been pretty conservative on this. So let me walk through. So Mr. Adamo's general contractor believes that the costs that will actually be put into the Western building are going to be somewhere close to $2 million that he will be putting in. I've knocked that down to $1.5 million because we all know that if we were building from the ground up, just about brand new, just about everything we put into construction costs, the county assessor would be able to use it in the assessment. But when you're in a remodel, that's not necessarily the case. So I've conservatively said that when the building is totally redone, refurbished, remodeled, that the tax assessed value will be $1.5 million. We then, of course, then have to put in the factor to come up with what the taxes would be. But anyway, so I think the building's low at 1.5, but we want to be conservative. We have an estimate of about approximately $250,000 and another $550 for the parking lot, another $550 for the garages. So if those come in, we've used that at $800,000. And then for that second commercial building, actually the general contractor for Mr. O'Donnell thinks that's another $1.8 million. But again, trying to be conservative, we've reduced that to $1.5 million. Now, hopefully it's more than that because that just means the TIF will get paid off earlier. The city has been asked to create this district to help offset the nuisance removal, the renovation, remodel, and construction costs. It's pretty clear that area of Mitchell is vital to the continued growth and refurbishment of the Mitchell downtown core business district. And we're hoping this is one of the catalysts or kickstart for that project. And it certainly will help remedy a blighted area and an open area with all those open lots between Third and the Einstein's building. So certainly clearing up the blighted area is a proper use of the TIF. The tax increment financing is permitted only in connection with the project plan adopted by the city. The property is currently taxed at assessed at $45,070. The improvements that will be made there can add just about $4 million, or about $3.9 million, to the full and true taxable valuation for the city, which will help bring in funds, of course, and hopefully revitalize downtown. We think that it would, if all the improvements get done on a yearly basis, it'll kick out about $73,854 per year. For purpose of this plan, we're projecting that the western building will fully completed by next summer, the summer of 2022. We're hoping that the parking area and the garages are done in 2022 as well. Again, to be conservative, I've held off the retail building being done until about 2024. So its taxes wouldn't really start until 2026. So we figured in 15 years of revenue from that building. A portion of the development would, or possibly the whole development, would qualify for the phase-in, but pursuant to city rules, a developer has to pick one, the TIF or the phase-in, and so the developer will voluntarily waive the phase-in. The developer will not undertake this project without a TIF. If you guys don't approve the TIF, or if you guys don't recommend to the council and the council approve the TIF, it will not go forward. For purpose of this plan, we anticipate that funds would start coming in on the project in 2023, and so that's the exhibit starting on page 21 is all the various things that are going to be cleaned up in the remodel. This was the historic preservation requirements, and so I thought that would be interesting for the body to take a look at and see what all we're doing to keep that building on the historical register. Tax revenue estimates. So I broke these down between the western building, the second retail commercial building, and then the parking lot and garages I combined. They set forth the approximate amount of taxes that would be generated on a yearly basis starting in 2023 for the western building and the parking garages, and in 2026 for the second retail. And those show that they would generate enough income to service the TIF debt. Again, these are all assumptions. Nobody can guarantee that these things will happen, but that's what we use for the plan. Schedule 3 is an economic development study. I think you guys have had a chance to read through that. That's basically, I won't go into that unless you guys have questions on that. Schedule 4 is a fiscal impact, so that sets forth that the assumptions that the property will have improvements when we're all done at about $3.5 million. The average tax levy will be 21.102, and again, that's the 2020 levy. It'll change before then, but that's all we have to work with now. Increment will start to be collected in 2023 and will end prior to 2041. We're asking this to be a 20-year TIF, and of course, if it gets paid off early, that's all the better. Discretion requirement will be waived by the developer, and we're showing the fiscal impact then on the table on page 40. Schedule 5 discusses the estimated estimated capture tax value. I won't go through that. You guys have seen that a couple of times, unless you have questions when we're done. Attachment 1 is the description of the real property that will be in the TIF. Attachment 2 are pictures showing the blighted area or the empty area. I thought those are a good picture of how that area looks. And then attachment 3 are the initial plans for the western building. So I thought you guys would like to take a look at those. And finally, the last required thing in the TIF is the zoning change map, and there's no changes in zoning. It's currently zoned properly.
Any questions? Stephanie, are you back there? How many of the TIFs can you tell me, and this might be something that some other people might be interested in, how many of the 26 TIFs that we have are paid off, and how many got paid off early? And I know that number is surprising.
Well, I can't give you the details of how many paid off early, but if you go back up to the page that shows the base value of the remaining TIFs,
right,
up on the board, we did have 3 dissolve within the last 2 years, so they are making headway. I don't have the page number in front of me. I don't have the full packet. Page 8.
Yeah.
So there's the remaining TIFs that are still in place. We do estimate that there may be 1 coming off next year and then another 2 the year after that. So we're getting closer on them, but if you'd like a full breakout, we can provide that. I just don't have that with me.
No, I don't. I understand that, but the point I'm trying to make is that we're doing well on these TIFs over the years.
And really, you don't see the last 2 TIFs that well, they probably are on there, actually. 24 would be Performance Pet, I believe, and then 23 would be Vantage Point. 25 was Clockworks TIF, which we dissolved that once. 22 was Clockworks. Oh, that's right. 25 was Avera. So 22 will not show on there because we dissolved Clockworks when we moved forward with the EDA grant and an SRF application. Yeah. But we have had a couple other dissolved just because they paid off. The Woods just recently dissolved. I can't off the top of my mind think of the other ones either.
Yeah, that's my point. We are doing.
They're all cash flowing in, and several are paying off early.
And I think, Jay, you know, of all the TIFs we've done have been good, but this one, I mean, when you drive up and down Main Street now, you know, there's empty lots, and then there's the western building that's, you know, basically abandoned at this point. And I mean, I really think that this is what TIFs were all about. They were invented in Illinois to take care of blighted areas, and this could be the kickstart for the whole downtown area, getting a brand new historic building. I know the Historic Society of the state is very excited about bringing that building back to life. And you know, I mean, this is really a good use for this.
And I guess the other comment that I would make is when the city recently completed the community visioning process that had several thousand, or over 2,000 people participate within the community, they we're able to list the number one detriments to future growth and development, and then the number one opportunities. And our top two in both of those categories were the Lake Mitchell and Main Street, the deteriorating condition of Main Street. So I also think the improvement to that building really does, like Don Peterson said, gives a kickstart to the redevelopment of Main Street, and also kind of responds to that community vision objective that was identified by our community as a whole.
I also think, Jay, it's important to know that this is a developer that's coming in here and sinking in somewhere between the 1.5 and 2 million of his own dollars into that building.
Exactly. You know, my favorite one that I think of the most, and I think it's been dissolved already, is that apartment complex that was built south of the middle school. When I first moved to town in 1978, that was a blighted area. Nothing happened to it until finally a TIF came along and put some drainage in to make it happen. And we have a couple of really nice buildings there now. That's been one of my favorite thinking, that we did well. Is there any other questions or comments? Hearing none, we are ready for a motion. Jason, I'm sure you have one drafted for us, don't you?
Well, I can just kind of bring you back as to what the commission's role here is today, and that's really just two things. So the commission is setting the boundaries of the TIF, which you see in the project plan. They have their legal descriptions listed there, and you saw the exhibit, which kind of outlines the general area. So assuming the commission chooses to follow what's listed in the project plan, that's the area that you'd be setting. And then the other thing that you'd be doing today would be recommending approval of the project plan by the city council. So.
Thank you for that. Do I hear a motion to set the boundaries as proposed in the plan?
So moved.
Is there a second? It has been moved and seconded that the boundaries be set as proposed in the plan by the Planning Commission. We will have to do a roll call vote on this. So we are ready for a roll call vote.
He's off mute and everything.
All right. For the boundaries, Malumbi.
Yes.
Jerza.
Abstain.
Osterloo.
Abstain.
Genslinger.
Abstain.
Sonny.
Yes.
Kenny.
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Boundary been approved.
Motion has carried. And the next item then is recommended approval of the plan to the city council. Do I hear a motion for that? Do I hear a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we recommend approval of this proposed tax incremental financing district number 26 to the city council. Is there discussion on the motion? Hearing no discussion on the motion, I assume you're ready to vote. We will need to do a roll call vote on this too.
Sonny.
Yes.
Kenny.
Yes.
Genslinger.
Abstain.
Osterloo.
Abstain.
Jerza.
Abstain.
Malumbi.
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. Next item on the agenda. Okay, Don?
Yes.
I stayed awake for
Thanks, that's good.
Yeah, those of us who have been on the planning commission for a couple of years have been through this process several times, so.
I reminded Jerry back that when she was on city council, I appeared one time with the TIF, and Danny Allen started out and said, if I make a motion to approve the TIF plan right now, will you sit down? And Jerry Beck said, no, he has a job to do, you gotta let him do it.
I have no recollection of that at all.
Well, I appreciate your being so willing to talk to us over the phone, Don, and I know you'll continue to work with the folks here in the city, and we will do our best to do what needs to be done here, because I think we all think it's a good plan. All right, is there any other business to come before this body at this time? Okay, we're ready for public input. We need to address City Planning Commission on an item that was not on the agenda, excluding personnel items. Please come forward to the podium and state your name and your concern. Presentations are limited to 3 minutes and will be considered, but no action will be taken at this time. Seeing that no one has come forward to the podium, it is the chair's prerogative to adjourn this meeting. We are